The first signal came on a cold morning in January 2087. Every radio station on Earth went silent. Every television screen turned to static. Then a voice spoke in perfect English, French, Mandarin, and 100 other languages, all at once. People of Earth, you are not alone. The Galactic Council welcomes you to the stars. Daniel Price was a diplomat working at the United Nations when it happened. He was 42 years old, tired from too many late nights and drinking his third cup of coffee. When the voice came through his phone, he dropped the cup and watched it shatter on the floor. Within 6 months, Daniel became Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. He traveled aboard an alien vessel to a station at the center of the galaxy, a place so old that the metal walls had turned golden with age. He wore his best suit. He practiced his speech 100 times. He believed he was about to make history. He was right, but not in the way he expected. The council chamber was enormous. 12 platforms floated in a circle around a glowing sphere of blue light. Each platform held representatives from a different species. Some looked almost human. Others had scales or tentacles or bodies made of living crystal. They watched Daniel with eyes that held no warmth. The Veltary representative spoke first. His name was Arthrax, and his species had ruled the council for 40,000 years. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes that seemed to see through everything. Another young species, Arthrax said. His voice was like stones grinding together. How tedious. Daniel cleared his throat. Honored members of the council, Earth comes in peace. We seek friendship, knowledge, and a place among the stars. Arthrax made a sound that might have been laughter. You seek? How charming. Tell me, human, how many ships does your species possess? We have sent probes to Mars and the outer planets. We are developing faster than light technology based on the data you provided. So none. Arthrax turned to the other representatives. They have none, and yet they speak of seeking a place among the stars. The other representatives laughed. Daniel stood there, his face burning, his prepared speech forgotten. You may observe, Arthrax said finally. There is a gallery above the chamber for lesser species. You will sit there. You will watch. You will learn. When you have something of value to offer, perhaps we will listen. Daniel was escorted to the observation gallery. It was a small room with dusty chairs and a window overlooking the chamber. 3 other species already sat there, representatives of worlds that have been waiting for centuries to be noticed. That night, Daniel sent his first report back to Earth. He told them everything. The arrogance, the dismissal, the look in Arthrax's eyes when he said the word human, like it was something unpleasant on his tongue. Earth's leaders read the report. They held meetings that lasted for days. They argued and debated and shouted at each other. And then they made a decision. They would stay quiet. 300 years passed. Humans spread to nearby stars, building colonies on worlds the council considered worthless. They traded with alien merchants, always paying fair prices, never complaining about the taxes and restrictions placed on them. They sent ambassadors to the council, and each one sat in that same dusty gallery, watching and waiting. The council forgot about them. There were wars to fight, treaties to negotiate, and elder species to appease. Humanity was a footnote, a minor species that caused no trouble and offered nothing of interest. But Earth never forgot. In 2391, Secretary General Laura Mitchell stood before the United Earth Assembly in Geneva. She was 63 years old, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. Behind her, a screen showed images of human colonies across a dozen star systems. 304 years ago, Laura said, Ambassador Daniel Price sent us a message. He told us what we were to the galaxy. We were children. We were primitives. We were nothing. She paused, looking out at the representatives of every nation on Earth. He also told us something else. He told us to be patient. He told us to watch. He told us to learn. Lawver smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We have been very good students. Admiral Nathan Cole watched the speech from his command station in orbit around Mars. He was 55, with a soldier's build and gray eyes that missed nothing. On the screens around him, he could see the public face of humanity's space fleet. 37 ships, most of them old trading vessels and exploration craft. But Nathan knew the truth. Behind the moon, hidden in the shadows where no alien satellite could see, there were shipyards. Factories that had been running for 200 years, building vessels that no one outside Earth had ever seen. Weapons designed by scientists who had studied every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. The Council thought humans were primitive. They thought Earth had nothing of value. They were wrong. Nathan opened a secure channel to Earth. Secretary General. The latest intelligence reports show increased Council military activity near our outer colonies. They are watching us more closely than before. Laura's face appeared on his screen. Let them watch. They will see exactly what we want them to see. And if they see too much, then we will do what we have always done, Admiral. We will smile and nod and wait. Nathan ended the call and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was making plans. They were moving ships and gathering forces. They thought humanity was weak. He almost felt sorry for them. On Earth, children went to school. Farmers planted crops. Families gathered for dinner and talked about their days. Life went on, peaceful and ordinary, as it had for 3 centuries, but in secret rooms beneath mountains, in stations hidden among asteroids, and bases buried under the ice of distant moons, humanity prepared for a day that might never come. They hoped it would never come, but if it did, they would be ready. Daniel Price had died 200 years ago, an old man who never saw Earth gain its seat on the Council floor. But his words lived on, passed down through generations of diplomats and soldiers and scientists. Be patient, watch, learn, and when the time comes, show them what quiet really means. Earth stayed quiet. The galaxy had no idea what that silence was hiding. The Velthari High Counselor, Arthrax the Eternal, had lived for 6,000 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species evolve from simple creatures to starfarers, and then watched them destroy themselves in wars they could not win. Humans bothered him. He sat in his private chamber aboard the Council station, surrounded by screens showing data from 1,000 worlds. His advisors stood in silence, waiting for him to speak. 300 years, Arthrax said finally. 300 years, and they have done nothing. His chief advisor, a younger Velthari named Sethrix, stepped forward. They trade fairly. They pay their taxes. They follow every law we have given them. Exactly. Arthrax turned his black eyes toward the window. Outside, stars burned in the endless dark. Every other young species begs for favor. They fight among themselves. They make demands they cannot support. They give us reasons to control them. The humans give us nothing. Nothing. They smile. They nod. They go home to their little worlds and do whatever they do there. Arthrax's long fingers tapped against his chair. It is unnatural. It is wrong. They are hiding something. Sethrix hesitated. Our surveillance has found no evidence of hidden weapons or secret fleets. Their military is small. Their technology is basic. Then look harder. In the year 2394, the Galactic Council held a special session. Representatives from all 12 elder species gathered in the Great Chamber. Ambassador Katie Sullivan sat in the observation gallery, watching with calm eyes. She was 38 years old. Born on Earth but raised on the colony world of New Eden, she had spent her entire adult life studying the Council, learning their ways, understanding their fears. She knew what was coming before Arthrax even opened his mouth. "The Council has reached a decision regarding the human species," Arthrax announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Resolution 7742 declares Earth and all human colonies a monitored development zone. Human expansion beyond current borders is forbidden. All human settlements outside the Sol system must be evacuated within 1 standard year." The chamber erupted in approving sounds from the other representatives. Katie sat perfectly still. "This resolution is passed for the safety of the galaxy," Arthrax continued. "Young species must be guided. They must be controlled. They cannot be allowed to spread without supervision." Katie stood up. The gallery fell silent. Even Arthrax paused, his black eyes turning toward her. "May I speak?" she asked. Arthrax waved one long hand. "You may. I would like to understand the reasoning behind this decision. What has humanity done to deserve such restrictions?" The Valkyrie representative laughed. It was an ugly sound, like metal scraping against stone. "You exist. You grow. You spread like a disease across the stars. That is enough." Katie nodded once. "I see. You see nothing, child. You are young. Your species is young. Children do not question their elders. Children obey." Katie looked at Arthrax for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out of the gallery without another word. The representatives watched her go, some confused, others amused. Arthrax smiled. The humans had finally learned their place. That night, Katie sent one message back to Earth. It contained only 5 words. "They've chosen. Prepare the response." But the true breaking point came 3 months later. New Haven was a small colony on a planet called Kepler 442b. It was a green world with blue oceans and mountains that touched the clouds. 12,000 humans lived there, farming the land and building a life far from the politics of the Council. Beth Harper was the colony director. She was 50 years old, with kind eyes and hands roughened by years of hard work. She had helped build New Haven, from the first settlement to the thriving community it had become, when the Council ships appeared in orbit. She was not afraid. "This is War Commander Vorath of the Draxian Fleet," a voice crackled over the communication system. "You have 60 standard hours to evacuate this world. Anyone remaining after that time will be removed by force." Beth looked at her staff. They were scared. She could see it in their eyes. But they did not run. "Commander Vorath," Beth replied, "we acknowledge your message. However, this is our home. We have lived here for 40 years. We ask for more time to make arrangements." The line was silent for a moment. Then Vorath spoke again. "You do not understand. This is not a negotiation. You will leave, or you will die. Then I must inform you that the people of New Haven choose to stay." The communication ended. Beth turned to her staff and told them to prepare shelters. She hoped it would be enough, thought it was not. Vorath did not wait 60 hours. He did not wait 60 minutes. The moment Beth ended the call, he gave the order to fire. Plasma rained from the sky. Buildings exploded. Fields burned. People ran screaming through streets that were suddenly rivers of fire. Beth Harper died in the first minute, standing in her office, looking up at the burning sky. 17,000 humans died in 6 minutes. The entire colony was gone before anyone could even send a distress signal. Marath recorded the destruction and sent it to every corner of the galaxy. "This is what happens to species that do not obey," he said in the message. "Let this be a lesson to all who would defy the Council." On Earth, Secretary General Ryan Torres received the recording in his office in Geneva. He was 47 years old, a quiet man who had spent his career believing in peace and diplomacy. He watched the video 3 times. He watched children running through burning streets. He watched families trying to protect each other as fire fell from the sky. He watched Beth Harper's building collapse into ash dawn. Then he stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the city below. People were going about their normal lives. They did not know yet. They did not know that everything was about to change. Ryan activated the global emergency network. Every screen on Earth lit up with the same message. Every phone, every computer, every display showed his face. "People of Earth," he said. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. 3 hours ago, the Galactic Council attacked our colony on New Haven. 17,000 of our brothers and sisters are dead. They were farmers, teachers, children. They wanted only to live in peace. He paused, gathering his strength. For 300 years, we have been patient. We have been quiet. We have watched and learned and waited, hoping that the galaxy would see us as equals. Today, the Council showed us what they truly think of humanity. They think we are nothing. They think we can be destroyed without consequence. Ryan looked directly into the camera. They are wrong. From this moment forward, Earth is at war. Not a war we wanted. Not a war we started. But a war we will finish. The Council has made their choice. Now we make ours. He ended the broadcast. Across the planet, people stood in silence. Some wept. Some prayed. Some simply stared at their screens, unable to believe what they had heard. And in hidden bases around the solar system, humanity's secret fleet began to move. The quiet was over. The thunder was coming. The galaxy expected Earth to scream. Every other young species that had faced the Council's wrath had done the same thing. They sent desperate messages begging for mercy. They threatened revenge they could never deliver. They cried and pleaded and eventually surrendered. Earth did something different. Earth went dark. One by one, human ships across the galaxy turned toward home. Trading vessels abandoned profitable routes. Research stations shut down their equipment. Diplomatic missions packed their bags and left without a word. The quantum relay stations that connected Earth to the Galactic Communication Network went offline. First the outer stations, then the middle ones, then the ones closest to Sol. Within 2 weeks, it was as if humanity had simply vanished. On the Council station, Arthrax watched the reports with growing satisfaction. "They have run home to hide," he told his advisors, like frightened animals crawling back to their burrow. Sethrix nodded, but something in his eyes showed doubt. "Aye, Counselor, should we not send ships to monitor their system? To ensure they do not attempt anything foolish? Why waste resources on a dead species?" Arthrax waved his hand dismissively. "They've learned their lesson. In a generation, they will beg us to let them rejoin the galaxy. We will grant them mercy, and they will be grateful." The Council celebrated. The humans had been put in their place. Order had been restored. But behind the silence, something else was happening. Admiral Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the horizon, the flagship of Earth's true fleet. The ship was massive, larger than anything the Council had ever seen humans build. Its hull was black, designed to absorb sensor signals and vanish into the darkness of space. Around the horizon, 2,000 other ships held position in the shadow of Jupiter. Carriers, destroyers, cruisers, and vessels that had no name in any alien language. Ships that had been built in secret over 200 years, tested in hidden locations, and crewed by soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Nathan looked at the faces of his senior officers. Captain Derek Santos commanded the carrier group, a collection of ships that could launch 10,000 fighter craft in under a minute. Commander Grace Kim led the stealth division, ships so advanced that they could slip past any sensor system in the galaxy. Fleet Coordinator Sam Porter managed logistics, ensuring that every ship had fuel, ammunition, and supplies. They were ready. Play the recording, Nathan said. The main screen flickered to life, showing the destruction of New Haven. The officers watched in silence. Some had family on that colony. Some had friends. All of them had rage burning in their hearts. When the recording ended, Nathan spoke. Secretary General Torres has authorized Operation Prometheus. We are going to war. He activated the holographic display. A map of the galaxy appeared, with Council territory marked in red and human space in blue. The red covered almost everything. The blue was a tiny dot in one corner. For 300 years, we have shown the Council exactly what they expected to see. 37 ships, basic weapons, primitive technology. Nathan zoomed in on the Sol system. This is what they never saw. The display changed. Hidden shipyards appeared in asteroid fields throughout the solar system. Manufacturing stations buried in the ice moons of Saturn and Jupiter lit up. Research facilities on the dark side of Luna revealed themselves. Our public fleet represents less than 3% of our actual force. Every weapon system the Council has analyzed is 2 centuries out of date. They have never seen what we can really do. Grace Kim stepped forward. My stealth division has been mapping Council defenses for 50 years. We know every patrol route, every sensor blind spot, every weakness in their network. Derek Santos nodded. My carriers can deploy fighter wings faster than any Council fleet can respond. Our pilots have been training in simulators based on captured alien technology. They know how to fight enemies they have never met. Sam Porter pulled up supply chain data. We have enough resources for a sustained campaign of 18 months. After that, we will need to capture enemy supply lines. Nathan looked at each of them in turn. We did not want this war. We hoped it would never come. But the Council made their choice when they killed our people. Now we will show them what quiet really means. In a laboratory on Luna, Dr. Megan Cross was making final adjustments to humanity's most terrible weapon. She was 41 years old, a physicist who had spent her career studying the fundamental nature of reality. Her team had made discoveries that would have won them every prize on Earth, but their work was classified at the highest level. Megan held up a small device, no larger than her hand. It looked simple, almost harmless. But inside that device was the power to erase matter from existence. Dimensional displacement warheads, she explained to the military observers gathered in her lab. They do not explode. They do not burn. They simply remove whatever they touch from our dimension. The target ceases to exist in any meaningful way. One of the observers, a young colonel named Chris Palmer, looked troubled. Is there any defense against them? Megan shook her head. None that we have found. The effect is instantaneous and absolute. A ship hit by this weapon does not have time to send a distress signal. It is simply gone. How many do we have? Megan paused. She thought about New Haven. She thought about the children who had died in fire. She thought about what it meant to give humanity the power to destroy anything it wanted. Enough, she said finally. We have enough. Secretary General Ryan Torres received updates from every branch of the military. The fleet was ready. The weapons were loaded. The soldiers were prepared to fight and die for their species. But Ryan was not thinking about war. He was thinking about what would come after. He sat in his office, looking at a photograph of New Haven taken before the attack. Green fields, blue sky, families smiling at the camera, proud of the home they had built. His aide, a young woman named Jenny Park, entered with another stack of reports. Sir, Admiral Cole reports the fleet is in position. We can begin operations on your command. Ryan did not look up from the photograph. Jenny, do you know why we waited so long? She hesitated. To build our strength? Partly, but mostly because we hoped we would never need it. He finally set the photograph down. The council thinks we are animals. They think we only understand violence. I want to prove them wrong, even as we fight. How do we do that, sir? Ryan stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over Geneva, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Somewhere out there, among the stars he could not see, his people were preparing to go to war. We do not destroy them, he said quietly. We defeat them. We show them that humanity is not a disease to be wiped out. We are a species that wants to live in peace. And if they will not give us peace, we will take it. But we will not become monsters in the process. He turned back to Jenny. Send the order. Operation Prometheus is a go. Across the solar system, lights flickered on in hidden bases. Engines roared to life. Weapon systems activated. 2,000 ships began to move toward the edge of human space, toward a galaxy that had no idea what was coming. The quiet ones were awake, and the thunder was about to begin. The first sign of trouble came at Sector 17, a quiet region of space where the Council maintained a chain of border stations. These stations were old but reliable, staffed by bored soldiers who had never seen real combat. Station Commander Thrix was a Draxian, one of Vorith's distant cousins. He was eating his evening meal when the alarm started screaming. Report! He shouted, running to the command center. His sensor officer, a young Velthari technician, stared at his screens with confusion. Sir, I am not sure what I am seeing. The station at Point 7 has gone offline. Equipment failure? I do not think so. There was no distress signal, no debris, no energy signature. One moment it was there, and the next moment it was simply gone. Thrix felt a chill run down his spine. Contact Point 8. The technician tried. Nothing. He tried Point 9. Nothing. Point 10. Nothing. Within an hour, every station in Sector 17 had vanished. No warnings. No survivors. No explanations. Thrix sent an emergency message to the Council. Then he waited in the darkness, watching his sensors for something he could not see. He never saw the human stealth ship that removed his station from existence. On the Council station, Arthrax received the reports with growing fury. 12 border stations destroyed. No enemy sighted. No evidence of attack. Just empty space where his defenses used to be. Find them. He screamed at his admirals. Find these human ships and destroy them. War Commander Vorith stepped forward. He was larger than most Draxians, with battle scars covering his gray-green scales. He had destroyed New Haven. He had shown the galaxy what happened to those who defied the Council. Give me the fleet, Laura said. His voice was calm, confident. I will crush these mammals and bring you their leaders in chains. Arthrax nodded. Take whatever you need. End this quickly. Vorith assembled the largest fleet in Council history. 8,000 warships from 6 different species gathered at the Carina Nebula, a staging point chosen for its strategic location. Draxian destroyers flew alongside Velthari cruisers. Crystalline vessels from the Joran Collective formed defensive screens. Every elder species contributed. Their best ships and their best commanders. They were ready to destroy humanity. Once and for all. What they did not know was that Commander Grace, Kim had been watching them for weeks. Her stealth ships moved like shadows through the nebula, mapping every enemy position, recording every communication, identifying every weakness. She sent the information back to Admiral Cole, who studied it with the patience of a man who had waited his entire life for this moment. They are arranged in a standard defensive formation, Nathan observed, examining the holographic display. Heavy ships in the center, screens on the flanks, reserve forces at the rear. Derek Santos nodded. They expect us to attack head-on. They think we will throw ourselves against their wall and break. Then we will not give them what they expect. Nathan began moving icons on the display, rearranging his own fleet in the patterns the Council had never seen. Grace, your stealth ships will disable their communication relays before we engage. I want them blind and confused. Grace smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Consider it done. Sam Porter pulled up logistics data. Our supply ships are in position. We can sustain combat operations for 72 hours before we need to resupply. We will not need 72 hours. Nathan looked at his officers one final time. This is what we have trained for. This is what our ancestors prepared for us. Today, we show the galaxy who humanity really is. The Battle of Carina Nebula began at 0600 hours. Galactic Standard Time. Grace Kim's stealth ship struck first, appearing from nowhere to destroy the Council's communication network. One moment the admirals were coordinating their forces. The next moment they were isolated, unable to speak to each other, unable to receive orders from VORATH. Then the main fleet arrived. 2,000 human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They were smaller than most Council vessels, but they moved with a coordination that no alien fleet could match. Each ship knew exactly where to be and exactly what to do. Vareth stared at his screens in disbelief. These were not the primitive craft his intelligence reports had described. These were war machines, sleek and deadly, armed with weapons he had never seen. All ships engage. He roared. Destroy them. The Council fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma bolts and energy beams streaked across the nebula, turning space into a storm of light and death. They expected the human ships to burn. The human ships did not burn. They moved like dancers, weaving through the enemy fire with impossible grace. Their shields absorbed hits that should have destroyed them. Their weapons cut through Council armor like it was paper. Captain Derek Santos led his carrier group into the heart of the enemy formation. 10,000 fighter craft launched from his ships, swarming the larger Council vessels like angry insects. They targeted engines, weapon systems, and sensor arrays, crippling ships without destroying them. Remember your training, Derek shouted over the communication channel. We are not here to slaughter them. We are here to defeat them. Disable first, destroy only if necessary. The battle raged for hours. Human tactics were unlike anything the Council had ever faced. When the aliens concentrated their forces, human ships scattered and regrouped. When the aliens spread out, humans struck at isolated targets with overwhelming force. Vareth watched his fleet dying around him. Half of his ships were disabled or destroyed. His commanders were dead or out of contact. His proud armada was being torn apart by an enemy that should not exist. He made one final, desperate choice. His flagship, the Crimson Dawn, turned toward the horizon. If he could destroy the human command ship, perhaps he could still win. All power to engines, Vareth ordered. Ram them if you have to. I will not lose to these animals. Derek Santos saw the Crimson Dawn coming. He calculated the intercept course in his head and made his decision in less than a second. All carrier group ships converge on my position. Protect the horizon. 3 human carriers moved to block the Draxian flagship. Derek's own ship, the Valiant, took point. Sir, if we do this, we will not survive, his first officer said. I know. Derek activated the ship-wide communication. Crew of the Valiant, it has been an honor serving with you. Remember New Haven. Remember why we fight. The Valiant and 2 other carriers crashed into the Crimson Dawn at full speed. The explosion lit up the nebula like a small sun. When the light faded, the Crimson Dawn was a shattered wreck, drifting powerless through space. Vareth was alive, but trapped in his command chair, surrounded by the bodies of his crew. A human boarding party found him an hour later. They did not kill him. They did not torture him. They simply placed him in restraints and took him to the horizon. Admiral Nathan Cole faced the Draxian war commander for the first time. Varath was larger, stronger, and covered with scales that could stop a knife. But his eyes held something Nathan had never expected to see. Fear. "You destroyed New Haven," Nathan said quietly. 17,000 people, farmers, teachers, children. Varath said nothing. "You will face trial on Earth for what you did. You will answer for every life you took." Nathan turned to his guards. "Take him to the brig. Treat him fairly. We are not like them." The battle ended at 1700 hours. The Council fleet had been reduced to scattered survivors, fleeing in every direction. Human losses were significant but manageable. Derek Santis and his crews were gone, but their sacrifice had saved the command ship. Nathan stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking out at the debris field that had once been the greatest fleet the galaxy had ever assembled. "Send a message to every frequency," he ordered. "Let them hear what we have to say." His voice echoed across the stars. "This is Admiral Nathan Cole of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Today, we have defeated the forces sent to destroy us. We did not want this war. We did not start this war. But we have ended this battle, and we will end this conflict on our terms." He paused, gathering his strength. "To the people of the Council, we are not your enemies. We never were. We wanted only to live in peace. But you crossed a line that should never be crossed. You murdered our children. You burned our homes. And now you have learned what humanity is capable of when we have no other choice." Nathan looked at the stars, at the vast galaxy that had dismissed his species as nothing. "The quiet is over. The thunder has spoken, and we are just getting started." The news of the Battle of Carina Nebula spread across the galaxy like fire. Every species, from the oldest to the youngest, heard the same story. The humans had won. The unbeatable Council fleet had been destroyed by a species that was supposed to be primitive. 100 worlds. Young species who had been told to stay quiet began to whisper among themselves. If the humans could do it, perhaps they could too. Arthrax the Eternal sat alone in his private chamber, surrounded by screens showing reports he did not want to read. His fleet was gone. His commanders were dead or captured. His authority, built over 6,000 years of careful manipulation, was crumbling. Sethrix entered without announcing himself. That alone told Arthrax how much had changed. A week ago, such behavior would have meant death. "The other Council members are leaving," Sethrix said. "They are returning to their homeworlds to prepare defenses. They blame you for this disaster." Arthrax did not respond. "The humans are advancing. They have taken control of 3 sectors already. They are not destroying the populations. They are simply removing Council forces and establishing order." "Why?" Arthrax finally spoke. "Why do they not burn everything?" "That is what I would do." Sethrix hesitated. "Perhaps they are not like you, High Counselor." Arthrax looked at his advisor with empty eyes. "No, they are not. And that is why we have lost." The human advance continued for 6 months. Admiral Nathan Cole led the fleet from victory to victory, but he never forgot the principles Secretary General Torres had given him. Disable, do not destroy. Capture, do not kill. Show the galaxy that humanity was better than the Council. It was not easy. Many soldiers wanted revenge for New Haven. Many commanders argued for harsher tactics. But Nathan held firm. "We are fighting to prove that we deserve a place among the stars," he told his officers. "We cannot prove that by becoming the monsters they said we were." Commander Grace Kim led the final assault on the Council station itself. Her stealth ship slipped past the remaining defenses and disabled the weapon systems before the main fleet arrived. By the time Nathan's forces reached the station, it was defenseless. He gave Arthrax 1 hour to surrender. The High Counselor did not respond. When human troops boarded the station, they found it almost empty. The representatives of the elder species had fled. The guards had abandoned their posts. Only Arthrax remained, sitting on his throne in the great chamber. Waiting, Nathan walked through the ancient halls until he reached the chamber where Ambassador Daniel Price had been laughed at 300 years ago. He looked up at the observation gallery where humanity's first representative had been sent to sit in silence. Arthrax watched him with tired eyes. "You have won. What now? Will you execute me? Burn my homeworld? Take revenge for all the insults we gave you?" Nathan shook his head. "No. Then what? We will build something new." Nathan turned to face the High Counselor directly. "Not an empire. Not a dictatorship. A real council where every species has a voice, where no one is sent to sit in a dusty gallery and be ignored." Arthrax laughed. It was a hollow sound, filled with 6,000 years of bitterness. "You are fools. Power is the only thing that matters. The moment you show weakness, someone else will take what you have built. Maybe, but we have to try." Nathan signaled to his guards. "Take him to a holding cell. He will face trial for his role in the New Haven massacre." As Arthrax was led away, he looked back at the human admiral one final time. "You will regret this mercy." "Perhaps," Nathan said, "but at least I will be able to live with myself." Ambassador Katie Sullivan walked through the empty council chamber 2 weeks later. The ancient halls that had once echoed with the voices of the elder species were silent now. Dust covered the platforms where representatives had debated the fate of worlds. She stopped at the center of the chamber, where the glowing sphere of blue light still pulsed softly. This was the heart of galactic civilization, a symbol of 40,000 years of power, and it was hers to reshape. Secretary General Ryan Torres arrived the next day, along with representatives from every human colony. They gathered in the chamber that had once excluded them and began the hard work of building something better. "This new assembly will be different," Ryan announced to the gathered delegates. "Any species can join. Any species can speak. Any species can vote. No one will be sent to sit in silence because they are young or weak or different." It took years to build. Many species were suspicious of humanity. Many expected the humans to become just like the Council, to use their power to dominate and control. But Ryan and Katie and Nathan worked tirelessly to prove them wrong. They created a new charter that protected the rights of all species. They established trade agreements that were fair to everyone. They built a peacekeeping force that resolved conflicts without destroying worlds. And slowly, very slowly, the galaxy began to heal. Vorath's trial lasted for 3 months. He was found guilty of crimes against sentient life and sentenced to life imprisonment. Some humans wanted him executed, but Ryan refused. "We are not killers," he said. "We are builders. If we execute him, we become what he was. We have to be better than that." Admiral Nathan Cole retired after the war. He bought a small farm in Montana, far from the lights of the cities, where he could see the stars at night. He spent his days teaching his grandchildren about the universe and the lessons humanity had learned. One evening, his oldest granddaughter asked him a question that stopped him cold. "Grandpa, did you ever want revenge for what they did to New Haven?" Nathan was quiet for a long time. He thought about Beth Harper, the colony director who had died trying to protect her people. He thought about the children who had burned. He thought about all the rage he had carried for so long. "Yes," he admitted finally, "I wanted to make them suffer. I wanted to destroy everything they had built. Why didn't you?" Nathan looked up at the stars. Because revenge does not bring back the dead. It only creates more dead. We had a choice. We could become like them, or we could become something better. We chose to be better. His granddaughter nodded slowly. Do you think we made the right choice? I hope so. I hope the galaxy we are building will be worth all the sacrifices we made. He put his arm around her shoulders. But that is not my job anymore. It is yours. Your generation will decide what humanity becomes next. Commander Grace Kim took over as Admiral of the Defense Fleet. She spent her career making sure Earth would never be caught unprepared again, while also reaching out to former enemies to build alliances and trust. Dr. Megan Cross returned to her research, but she no longer built weapons. She used her knowledge of dimensional physics to develop new forms of transportation and energy. The technology that had erased council stations from existence was now used to power hospitals and schools across 100 worlds. Secretary General Ryan Torres served 2 more terms before retiring. In his final speech, he stood before the new Galactic Assembly and looked out at representatives from dozens of species. Young and old, powerful and weak, all sitting together as equals. 300 years ago, humanity was told to be quiet, he said. We were told we were children, primitives, nothing. We accepted that insult because we had no choice. We waited and watched and learned, hoping that someday we would be given the chance to prove ourselves. He paused, gathering his strength for the final words. The chance was given to us, but not in the way we wanted. We did not want war. We did not want death. We wanted only to live in peace. But when peace was taken from us, we showed the galaxy what we were capable of. Ryan looked at the faces of the delegates, human and alien alike. We are not conquerors. We are not destroyers. We are simply a species that asks to be treated with respect. We have earned that respect, and now we offer it to everyone who is willing to build a better future with us. He smiled, and for the first time in years, it reached his eyes. The old council is gone. The old ways are finished. This is a new beginning, for humanity and for the galaxy. Let us make it a beginning worth remembering. The chamber erupted in applause. And on Earth, in cities and farms and mountains and seas, life went on. Children went to school. Farmers planted crops. Families gathered for dinner and talked about their days. The galaxy watched, waiting to see what humanity would do next. And Earth, once again, grew quiet. But this time, everyone knew what that silence meant. It was not fear, that it was not weakness. It was the quiet confidence of a species that had learned the hardest lesson the universe could teach. True strength is not about destroying your enemies. It is about building something that your enemies could never destroy. The humans had spoken once. With fire and thunder and justice. Now they simply watched the stars, as they always had, ready for whatever the future might bring. The story of humanity was far from over. In many ways, it was just beginning.